I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was struggling to condense this video into such a short time frame because there's way too much knowledge I want to tell you guys. But in this video, I'm going to tell you guys the proper tips that mythical immortal junglers and pro scene level junglers use. Now you might ask, who are you and what are your credentials to be talking to me about this at all? Well, simply put, I am a Global Alucard. I have a 70% win rate, mostly playing solo queue in jungle, and also playing duo and trio queue occasionally.
Nice.
And on top of this, I am also a pro NACT top 13 EXP laner, which means that I was sitting there while my coach was telling my jungler what rotations to do and what tips to apply. So, you want my credentials? Here you go. 252 stars. Global Alucard, Global Paquito, top 13 NACT EXP, and in brackets there you can see, I know what my jungler was taught. Anyways, let's get into today's video. Oh, I also forgot to mention the 70% win rate. Now let's get into it. Now, I don't want this video to be too long and to bore you. I'm not trying to lecture you, I'm not your Spanish teacher, so I'm going to tell you straight up and quickly everything here. Firstly, we are going to talk about optimal pathing in your first rotation. Secondly, we're going to talk about objective control and macro timing. Thirdly, we're going to talk about map pressure and lane assistance. Fourth, we're going to talk about retribution and zone control. Fifthly, we're going to talk about scaling and win condition awareness. And that is all we're going to talk about in this video. So let's get right into it because as you can tell, there's a lot of things to talk about. Starting off, optimal pathing in first rotation. You guys need to understand something basic. Based on the enemy's team comp, you are going to make decisions. Yes or no? Based on the hero I'm playing versus the enemy's hero, I am going to make decisions. Yes or no? Very simple stuff, right? But too many people do this wrong. If the enemy team has, for example, a Kufra and a Julian, and I'm playing Alucard in jungle, my chance of getting invaded and them trying to ruin my game for the entire game is extremely high. So am I going to do a 4 camp clear? Am I going to do a 5 camp clear? Absolutely not. This is the dumbest thing you can do. And I'm sorry if I'm calling you out right now. Yes, I'm looking at you, but you're gonna learn right now. And it's very simple. The only thing you need to fix is instead of doing these 4 or 5 camp clear rotations, do your double big buff rotation. Which means that if you started blue, go blue directly to red. If you started red, go red directly to blue. And then go and do your smaller greens. Because it's better to give the enemy your smaller greens. If they are going to invade without any hope of your team defending it, it is better to give them the smaller greens than it is to give them an entire buff. Because then literally your hope of getting level 4 is so low, while the enemy jungler is going to be level 5 to 6 for the turtle, and you might as well kiss any chance of snowballing that game goodbye. Obviously, sometimes the enemy can mess up, but like in 90% of situations, you're not going to snowball. Now, another point. I get it. I'm a solo queue player. Teammates are useless. Yes, but sometimes you gotta realize you either need to be helping your weak laner or you need to be helping your strong laner. You have two different things in this game, okay? Very simple shit. You need to know this as a jungler. I'm telling you all right now, okay? You either need to know whether or not your teammates have the stronger matchup or the weaker matchup. If my teammate is a Mia versus a Brody, she has the weaker matchup in early as long as Brody doesn't have the brain of a walnut, right? If my teammate is a CC and she is versus a Arlet, most likely that Arlet is going to have the stronger lane. So I have two options here. Number one, I am going to gank the teammate with the weaker lane, or number two, I am going to gank the teammate with the stronger lane. Let's flip EXP lane and say that Arlet is my teammate and the enemy is CC. Do I need to help that Arlet? Is it beneficial for me to gank once or twice and then focus on gold lane? Because in these situations, I'm guaranteeing myself a little bit of extra gold and I'm guaranteeing that my teammate cannot lose that laning matchup. Right? So you need to consider this. But on the other hand, what if your marksman is really struggling? What if your marksman is sitting there losing a lot of farm during the time that you're making this decision? And then you're gonna sit there and say, oh, Dark System Mia 07, I do it too. But at the end of the day, could I have had an influence on making that Mia be 17 and 0 instead? Absolutely. So consider these facts because this is something that is going to be the ultimate difference maker between you being a high-level mythical immortal jungler or potential pro scene jungler, or being stuck in mythical glory or low 100 stars. Now the last point that I'm going to talk about is very, very simple. You need to understand that if you have the stronger jungling matchup, what you need to do is abuse this. Invade the enemy's greens, control the lethal, control the map. It's very simple. Control objectives, take objectives, right? We all understand these basic concepts, but how do I actually do it? Understand that what you need to do is know what the enemy jungle's rotation is and play accordingly. If you catch the enemy jungle somewhere while their buff is up, take it immediately. These are basic things that we know, right? But too many people struggle to do it. Even if you take an enemy's green 2 to 3 or 4 times in the match, you are hurting their farm significantly. That can be the difference between them getting a power spike or getting an item that they need. So you need to keep these things in mind. If you have the stronger lane, control the map. If you have the stronger jungle, control the map. This is a very basic thing. I am going to apply pressure on mid lane. I'm going to apply pressure on EXP lane. I'm going to apply pressure on gold lane. I'm going to take every objective. I'm going to invade your camps. This is the mentality you need to have. You need to control the game. The jungler can control almost every aspect of the game, and this is why it is the ultimate carry role and the hardest role to master, which is why you're here though, so don't worry about it. Anyways, let's get into tip number 2 now to not waste any more time, which is objective control and timing. You guys need to understand that your objective rotation is really important. You need to understand that your team's setup at the objective is really important. And when I talk about timing, I mean the timing of timing your rotation to that certain objective, or on the other hand, the timing of when to do certain things on the map. Because don't forget that turtles and lords are not the only objectives. Kills are objectives, turrets are objectives, enemy jungle is objectives. So if you time your rotation basing it on a fact that an enemy jungler will be clearing his other buff at the time that you can invade the other one, you are timing your objective. You guys get what I'm saying? If you know that the enemy team is probably rotating down to the EXP lane, but you're on your blue buff and gold lane is above you and you want to gank gold lane, you are already timing your objective of ganking gold lane. Do we understand this fact? So how do you control the map through these mini objectives? It's pretty simple. You apply pressure there. You force things to happen there, and you create problems for the enemy to deal with. For example, if you decide to perma-gank gold lane and then randomly switch it up to EXP lane, all of a sudden the enemy was waiting for you on gold lane thinking that you're going to gank their marksman again, but now their EXP laner is starting to suffer. Now you're playing mind games with the enemy. Because they have no vision on you, they don't know where you're going to show up. So maybe they start setting up shop on the lanes, but now you're immediately harassing their jungler in the jungle and they don't have enough time to get to you to stop them from dying or losing their jungle. Now this is what you need to do. You need to stay invisible, play objectives, play mind games with the enemy, predict what the enemy is going to do, and make it impossible for them to predict you. That is how you win games. If you're constantly everywhere on the map at the same time, there is nothing that the enemy can do to stop you, especially considering that there is such a massive lack of coordination when we're talking about it in lower elos. You can see that in higher elos or pro scene, they will usually use things such as chip TP or Luo Yi TP to make these plays happen because it's an easy way to be unpredictable. But you need to understand that as a solo queue player, there's a million other ways that you're able to manipulate these things, as I have just mentioned, to your advantage. Alright, so we've just talked about map pressure, which was actually meant to be covered in tip 3, but I just decided to kind of blend it in with tip 2 because map pressure can also apply under objectives, so sorry for lying a little bit, but let's talk properly about lane assistance, alright? If you have an EXP laner who is Arlet and he is matched up versus a CC, typically that Arlet is fine. He has the stronger lane, he's probably going to beat that CC, and she can never really do anything to him because he can dash away. Now, if on the other hand, the enemy team has a Melissa on gold lane and your gold laner is something along the lines of a Mia or a Layla, that Melissa is going to make life miserable for your gold laner. So when we're talking about lane assistance, you need to understand that sometimes it is actually your fault on how your team performs. Obviously, if your Layla is extremely out of position and dying in bullshit ways, that is not your fault, especially if you're on the other side of the map jungling because the turtle is coming up. You cannot blame yourself for that one, chief, but what you can do on the other hand is understand, oh shit, my marksman is losing really hard, we are going to have a Melissa problem, which means that it is my job to try and shut down that Melissa and make her cry. You guys need to understand this very, very basic fact, that the lane you need to assist is usually your weaker lane. Now, how does this tie in with tip 2 and map pressure? Imagine now you gank this Melissa, and you gank her 3 or 4 times, and now she's on her 4th death, crying to her team that there's nobody helping her, and you are constantly all up on her. Pause. But you get what I'm saying. What are you going to do now? Now you switch it up to helping the stronger lane. Boom. Did I blow your mind? No, I didn't, because I just talked about this in the last point if you were listening at all. But the point is that now you are applying map pressure, as I mentioned earlier, but you are also assisting everywhere on the map. You guys get what I'm saying? This is a very basic tip that you guys need to know how to apply. And if you're not constantly thinking about these things as a jungler, there's a reason why the enemy jungler is outperforming you in 80% of your games, and you're crying that it's your dark system teammates who is not helping you out, but in reality, bro, it kind of is just you. but it's okay. Like I said earlier, you're watching this video now. I got you. Now I want to talk about retribution mechanics. We all know that retribution has a burn, but did you guys know that this burn is immediately applied at the first tick of doing damage to something? Which means that technically you can really increase the total damage that you're doing to an objective without even touching it. What are you talking about, Zex? Let's say that your retri burn does exactly 150 damage. Let's say that the objective is at 1800 HP and the retri value of the objective, for the sake of saying, is 1700. You can retri at 1800 HP and confirm the objective. This is why you're always seeing Lings steal objectives. They fly up, they're not even touching it, and they win the retri battle because of this very simple mechanic. Now you also need to understand the second mechanic of what I like to call a retri confirm. What is a retri confirm? This is when you use a skill with your retribution, which is at a set value that you know the exact number of how much damage you will do to the objective, that will always confirm that you will take it. There is a reason why so many heroes are in the meta. Leomord is meta because his retri confirm with his first skill is amazing. Fredrin was in the meta for a long time because his retri confirm with his first skill was amazing. Alucard can do this, for example, with his ultimate, doing up to 800 damage to it or 1200, or he can do this with his second skill, doing again around 600 to 800 damage to the objective in early game to confirm it with his retribution. You guys need to understand that you're already putting a massive skill difference in terms of your retribution battle if you are able to do this simple step. Now, even though that is definitely the most basic tip I am going to give you, you guys need to understand just how important this really is. It is super important, and even though it is brain dead basic, you need to master this. If you cannot win retributions, I'm sorry bro, you should not be playing jungle. Anyways though, let's get on to my fifth point, which is scaling and win condition awareness. I already told you guys earlier, if you know you are the stronger one, you need to know how to abuse this. And I already told you guys earlier that if you are scaling, you need to know how to scale. So what I'm going to do right now as a Global Alucard is give you a quick 1-minute guide on how to actually scale in 90% of your games with Alucard. And I think that the best way to do this is to actually give you a little scenario. Alright, so here is the scenario. Let's say that the enemy team has a Phoveus on EXP, a Saber in jungle, a Cho on roam, a Valier on mid, and a Brody on gold. This is already a match that I would tell you do not pick Alucard, but you picked Alucard because you want to play Alu, and now you're stuck in this situation. Meanwhile, you have teammates such as Aldis on EXP lane, Leva on gold lane, Nena in mid lane, Estes in roam, and now you have this huge problem where you have no teammates that can really help you against this invade. I mean, what is Estes going to do against a Cho? What is Nana going to do really against a Valier, etc, etc. Let's say now that this Cho and this Phoveus decide to harass the living fuck out of you, and because all this is so shit at scaling and Estes can't really help you, you are constantly getting harassed. Well, let's start with option A. You optimize your rotation to do the double big buff clear. Let's say that Saber joins the Cho and now takes your green. What you are going to immediately do is go to your other green and try to confirm Saber's top green. That way, what you are going to be doing is 110% confirming that you will get your level 4. From this point, you don't want to force any team fights. You want to wait for Saber or Cho to use their skills before you engage. Basic macro. Now, let's say that you do this perfectly. You Shadow Realm Saber and you Shadow Realm Cho. Now you are up 400 gold and in a very promising scaling position. And of course, since Alucard's second core item is Rose Gold Meteor, once you get this second core item, Saber's ultimate, especially if you are ahead of him, is not going to be a problem for you anymore. And voila, you have set up a perfect position to scale yourself in the match. Now you might say you didn't really talk about objectives or stuff. At the end of the day, if your team is a losing team, you should not prio objectives until Lord contests, but make sure that the game doesn't snowball too far out of control, because if you give them 3 turtles and they're getting a lot of kills, you're not going to be able to contest that Lord contest. I give you a very golden rule. If you cannot contest turtles, you better be ready to contest that Lord. This is the basic golden rule of jungling. Anyways though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I definitely have my shit cut out for me editing this video. I decided not to give it to my editor. I decided to do it for myself because I wanted to prove to myself that I can still edit. So let me know what you guys think of the edits down below. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any further questions, make sure to ask, because at the end of the day, I am here to teach you guys. And for anyone who stayed to this point, make sure to comment what rank you are and what your win rate is. And eventually when I make another guide in the future, I want you to update me again saying, hey, I commented on this video saying what my rank and win rate is. Here is how it's improved, especially if you are a jungle player. But last things last, before I fully close off this video, I want you guys to know that from now on, at the start of every single video, I am going to be replying to 3 comments. This can be any comments about anything you guys want. I will choose 3 comments before the start of every video and I will reply to them. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good day or a good night. Sleep well. I'll see you guys in the next one.